All right, welcome everyone. Let's adjust the camera a little bit here. Hold on. There we go. That way it's not like right up too high. So welcome everyone. Glad you're here. I assume if you're here, you're not going to be able to make it tomorrow, either because you're of the group that's of most concern, like 65 older, or because you're just not going to be able to make it tomorrow for whatever reason, because you're working or something. That's awesome, fantastic. Glad everyone's here. For whatever reason you're here. So glad you're here to hear the sermon. I will be giving the same sermon live at the church tomorrow. So if you're not of that group and you're able to come, it's fantastic. Definitely glad to have everyone here. It's like Kathy and Tracy. It's like the Perez family is here, and we've got Judy's here also. So that's awesome. Anyone else who happens to just be not able to chat and just watching, welcome. Glad you are all here. And we're actually going to be focusing. I'm starting a sermon series. I've talked about how God is powerful. I've talked about how God is all powerful. He happens, to be able to do whatever needs to be done. He'll do whatever needs to be done, and he can do whatever needs to be done to get past any obstacle, to get past anything, to basically make sure his will is done, that his kingdom is established, that his word gets out there. But exactly how powerful is that? You talked about how he's done all kinds of things, right? He's managed to stop the sun in the sky, which means stop the planet from rotating, essentially, and moving around the sun, which it's moving at a fairly high speed, and he did so in a way that people didn't go flying off the planet. And he created everything too. So we talk about all these acts that he's done. We're gonna look at very specific ways that he's powerful, specific ways that he is powerful. And today we're actually going to be starting with the fact that he overcomes. Our powerful God is a God that overcomes. He overcomes anything that's in the way of his will being done. And I did talk after Easter about how you just can't stop him. You can't stop the message. You can't stop the gospel. You can't stop God. Right? The church started, the gospel started being preached, it was spreading to all these people. Everyone's hearing the gospel, and you know what? You can't stop it. You couldn't stop it. They were arresting people left and right. They were persecuting the church. People were being stoned. Guess what? You couldn't stop it. You can't stop the gospel. And we're going to look at a few instances that not just that it kept spreading, but where God really acted and really kind of showed off what he can do, really showed off exactly what he's capable of. That if something is in his way, he'll make sure it's not in the way anymore. If something is stopping his people, well, he'll make sure it doesn't stop him for very long, and that it will be gone. All right, it will be gone. Whatever is stopping you, God will take care of it. God will take care of it in some way, shape, or form. And it may not be the way we expect, but God will definitely act, and he will definitely take care of it. Because we're going to look at the book of Acts. In fact, three different passages in the book of Acts, and we're starting Acts chapter 12. And actually starting in verse 1, very beginning of Acts chapter 12, starting in verse 1, we're looking at this case. This time Peter is put in jail. Peter's put in jail. He's arrested. And it's kind of, a big thing, because Peter is one of the big forces for the gospel. Peter and Paul are two of the biggest forces for the gospel message itself. And he's put in jail. He's arrested. So that seems like a big hindrance to the spreading of the gospel, to the church furthering itself and continuing. But God's not having any of that. God's not going to have any of Peter being in jail and the message being stopped. Because Peter is a force for the gospel message, a force for God, for spreading that message to others, for people being saved. He's a force. He's a force, all right. If we go to chapter 12 in the book of Acts, nope, that's wrong. There we go. That's the right one to click on. Else if I click on the correct thing. Let's move that. Nope, go up there. Not. There we go. That way it's in the correct order on my screen. I don't accidentally click on that. So there we go. Starting in chapter 12, there we read, "It is about this time that King Herod arrested some who belonged to the church, intending to persecute them. He had James, the brother of John, put to death with the sword. When he saw that this met with approval among the Jews, he proceeded to seize Peter also." This happened during the festival of unleavened bread. After arresting him, he put him in prison, handing him over to be guarded by 4 squads of 4 soldiers each. Herod intended to bring him out for public trial after the Passover. So Peter was kept in prison, but the church was earnestly praying to God for him. The night before Herod was to bring him to trial, Peter was sleeping between 2 soldiers, bound with 2 chains. And sentries stood guard at the entrance. Suddenly an angel of the Lord appeared, and a light shone in the cell. He struck Peter on the side and woke him. "Quick, get up," he said, and the chains fell off Peter's wrists. And the angel said to him, "Put on your clothes and sandals." Peter did so. "Wrap your cloak around you and follow me," the angel told him. Peter followed him out of the prison, but he had no idea that what the angel was doing was really happening. He thought he was seeing a vision. They passed the 1st and 2nd guards and came to the iron gate leading to the city. It opened for them by itself, and they went through it. When they had walked the length of one street, suddenly the angel left him. So here we have an amazing thing happen. A very amazing thing happen. We have Peter is arrested. He's in jail. Herod is looking to try him, possibly even have him put to death. I mean, he had John the Baptist put to death. It's kind of mentioned at the beginning. So it's kind of hinting here that maybe, just maybe, he's going to have Peter put to death. And so he has Peter in chains. He's in chains. He's in a locked cell. And guess what happens? People are praying for him. They're praying for him. And God hears these prayers. God hears them. And knows that Peter is a force for the gospel. Peter is part of God's plan to spread the gospel, to keep it going. So what does he do? He sends an angel. An angel. One of God's messengers. An angel strikes him on the side and says, "Hey, wake up. Wake up, Peter." And so Peter wakes up and he's like, "They follow me," and the chains fall off. The chains with the shackles, they're loosened. They're off of him now. And the doors open. They walk right past the guards. I mean, he's being guarded by 4 groups of 4. Like 16 soldiers to guard one individual here. And they walk past all these guards. They walk past every single one of them. Just imagine that for a minute. Just imagine doing that. And they walk to the gate of the city, and it just opens for them, and they walk right through, down the length of the street, and the angel's gone, and Peter is now free. Able now to continue to spread the gospel message. Able now to continue to spread that gospel message. God is not going to let this stop. He's not going to let anything get in the way of his plan, of his will, of what needs to happen. No matter what happens, it can't stop God, because he can just make things happen. He can make people be free. If they're locked up and behind bars because of preaching the gospel, he can free them. He can send an angel to help them out. There's so many things that he can do because he is so powerful, because he is all powerful. He is able to do these things. And it's wonderful. It's amazing. It's an awesome thing. And of course, it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. And these are the reasons why people really believe. They really hold on because of these acts that were done, these signs performed by the followers of God and by the gifts of the Spirit. We're studying Hebrews on Wednesday Bible study on Facebook, and that's one thing he mentions in Hebrews, is that this is all the reason why we believe the gospel, why we believe all this, is because the signs that Jesus did, and as well as his followers, the signs that they've done, the things that have happened to them, the acts of the Spirit, Spirit working through people, giving them these gifts of the Spirit. That's why we believe. It's because of all this stuff happening and that is going on. That's why we believe, is because God's doing amazing things. God's doing these amazing things, and God is not stopping. He's not stopping doing all these amazing things. He's going to keep going and keep making sure that his message, that what he wants people to hear, that gospel message of salvation, is going to be spread. It's not going to stop. It's just going to keep going and going. His will is going to be done. What must happen on earth is going to happen. Nothing and no one can stop it. Nothing and no one can stop it. Let's keep going. Let's keep going, because now we have Paul and Silas in Acts chapter 16. And here Paul and Silas, they're not only arrested, they're flogged, basically they're whipped, and then they're put in jail. So they're arrested, they're punished, and then put in jail. And in fact, their feet are put in stocks to keep them from going anywhere. And that there's several men guarding them, and then all of a sudden, something happens. Something happens that just blows people's minds, blows their minds, and actually works to bring people that salvation faith, actually brings them to accept Christ and to be baptized, which is even better. So not only does this miraculous thing happen, this amazing thing happen, but someone comes to that saving faith, which that in itself is wonderful. That alone is just wonderful. The fact that it causes that to happen. We start in verse 25 here, as you can see. Start in verse 25. About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening to them. Suddenly there was such a violent earthquake, the foundations of the prison were shaken. At once all the prison doors flew open, and everyone's chains came loose. The jailer woke up. When he saw the prison doors open, he drew his sword. Let me scroll up so you guys can actually read behind my face here. When he saw the prison doors open, he drew his sword and was about to kill himself because he thought the prisoners had escaped. But Paul shouted, "Don't harm yourself. We're all here." The jailer called for lights, rushed in, and fell trembling before Paul and Silas. He then brought them out and asked, "Sirs, what must I do to be saved?" They replied, "Believe in the Lord Jesus, and you will be saved, you and your household." Then they spoke the word of the Lord to him, to all the others in his house. And at that hour of the night the jailer took them and washed their wounds, and immediately he and all his household were baptized. So here we go. He's coming to this faith because of what happened. You see, you have Paul and Silas, they're in jail. It's around midnight. They're singing hymns. They're singing songs of praise while in jail, even though they've been beaten. They've been beaten and arrested, but they are lifting up songs of praise. They're praising the Lord, because the best thing that you can do in that situation is just praise the Lord. Just keep praising. When things are down, things are at their worst, just keep praising God. Keep praising him. And keep recognizing that he's doing all this amazing stuff for you. All this amazing stuff he's doing for you, salvation and providing for you and just making sure you've got air in your lungs and able to proclaim the gospel. He's doing that for you. And so they're praising God in jail. They're praising God after being beaten, being arrested, feet are in stocks, and then there's this great earthquake. This great earthquake comes, shakes the foundation of the prison. All the doors open up. Everyone's, like bindings are kind of loosened and they're no longer, bound to the jail. And the jailer is like, all right, all the doors are open. Everyone's going to be escaped. I might as well just kill myself because I'm going to be in a lot of trouble for this. And they're going to kill me or torture me, then kill me anyway. So I'll just get it over with because it's not good for me. I mean, because honestly, anyone who's in jail now, and yeah, I'd probably tell you, ask Dick about this because, being the jail chaplain, I'm sure he would attest to this. If that happened in a jail nowadays, I guarantee you people be leaving. People would flee. People would at least try to get out. And maybe not everyone, but there would be people who would try to leave. Believe me, they would do it. They would do it. And so the jailer, he's like, I am going to end it now because they've all left. I'm in deep trouble. Get it over with. Get it over with. But then Paul calls out to me. He's like, stop. Don't harm yourself. We are all still here. And sure enough, all the prisoners are still there. All the prisoners are there. They haven't left yet. They have not left. They've all stayed in their cells. No one's left. And he's amazed. Not only by the fact that they are praising God, that they're just praising God in prison after being beaten, after being imprisoned with no hope. They're just praising away. And here, in the midst of their praising, God causes this earthquake to free them. And they stay put. They stay put. And he's so amazed by not only what happened, what God has done, but by what Paul and Silas did, the integrity that they showed. Is following God and being one of his people. And showing that kind of integrity. He comes to believe. He's like, what must I do to be saved? Please tell me. Because you serve a powerful God. And I want this salvation for myself. I want this. He tells them, it's like, you believe in Jesus. You gotta believe in Jesus. That's the way. Jesus is the way. You want to believe in Jesus, and that's how you be saved. That is how you're saved. So, he does. He believes. He takes them. He cleans their wounds. And then immediately, he and his whole household are baptized. Him, like if he has a wife, his wife, any of his servants that he has, testifies to them. They believe, they're baptized. Any children he has, they're baptized. The whole household comes to believe over what happened, and they're baptized. People come to believe. People are saved because of God acting like that, in this way, acting in this capacity. People are saved because of it. It is an amazing thing to have happen. Amazing thing. God is showing how powerful he is, what he can accomplish. And God still acts nowadays. Sometimes in ways that we don't quite realize, and sometimes in ways that are quite in our face and quite bold, like these instances right here. But God is still working. He's still pushing forward, still making sure things are happening, things are going forward, and we are kept safe. We are taken care of. And that we can be a testimony to others. We can help spread the gospel message. Remember, that's what it's all about. bringing people to believe, bringing people to that salvation, that saving faith, expanding God's kingdom. Because one day he's going to come and going to establish his kingdom on earth, going to deal out justice, going to make sure that everything is put right. And we want as many people to be a part of that as possible. As many people to be a part of that as possible. If we continue in Acts, we go to Acts chapter 28 now. Acts chapter 28. And this is something that's quite amazing. There's actually a YouTube channel that I love watching called Brave Wilderness. And this one guy on there, he's a little crazy because he'll take like these different insects that have these like really painful stings to them, and he's intentionally gotten stung by them, which is crazy. I mean, it's to the point like he's taken such powerful stings that in one episode he took like a yellow jacket and had it sting him multiple times, and like it was like nothing. It was crazy. He's even stung by some really painful, like a bullet ant and this wasp called an executioner wasp that he said was like the most painful sting he's ever had, and it's crazy. He even got he even like spiked himself with like a lionfish which has venom on it. But he's also like seen a lot of very poisonous snakes. And he talks about how you want to be very careful around them because I should say venomous snakes. They're very venomous. They could really put you in a lot of trouble, very much potentially kill you if you're bitten by these. He's always talking about how dangerous they are. And here we have Paul. He's shipwrecked on an island. He's gathering wood for a fire. He's doing his part. Shipwrecked with all these other soldiers and all these natives of the island, and he's gathering wood for a fire. And this is what happens. In Acts 28, starting in verse 3. Paul gathered a pile of brushwood, and as he put it on the fire, a viper, driven out by the heat, fastened itself on his hand. When the islanders saw the snake hanging from his hand, they said to each other, "This man must be a murderer, for though he escaped from the sea, the goddess of justice has not allowed him to live." But Paul shook the snake off into the fire and suffered no ill effects. So here we go. Paul is bitten by a snake. Because of course, you're getting wood for a fire in the brush. Obviously, there's a risk of poison of a snake being in there. And sure enough, there was a venomous snake, and it bit him. It bit him, and yeah, for pretty much anyone, that would be a bad day. That would be a bad time. But God has things for Paul to do. God is not done with Paul. And God protects him in this moment. God protects him because his life is in danger. He's bitten by the snake, could potentially die, but God protects him. He shakes the snake off and suffers no ill effects, aside from maybe a couple puncture wounds that he now has on his hand. Imagine that. I'm not talking about like purposefully handling poisonous snakes. I don't encourage that at all, and don't do it. But in this case, he happened to be bitten by a snake while he was gathering wood for a fire for the people he's shipwrecked on the island with. And he's not suffering from any venom. He's fine. Just shakes off into the fire, the snake burns, and Paul is okay. Paul is okay. Because God's not done with Paul yet. Oh no, he's not. God has things in store for Paul. Paul is going to do great things. And he does. He goes on to do many things as far as being a testimony for other people. Writing a good chunk of the New Testament, for that matter. All these letters he's sending to congregations that become part of the New Testament that we know today. He does all of that. Because God wasn't done with him yet at this point. God was not done with him. God was going to make sure that Paul survived. God protected him. It was quite an amazing thing that happened. You see, that's the thing. That's how powerful our God is, because he overcomes. He overcomes things that are beyond us to overcome. Things that are beyond us to overcome, like being locked in jail with chains on our wrists, around our ankles, because of preaching the gospel, being arrested for preaching that message. He overcomes that. He overcomes that. Whether it's us being a testimony to the guards, whether it's us being freed, he overcomes that. He overcomes that. He protects us. He overcomes the danger that we might face in the name of proclaiming the gospel. He overcomes that danger. There's people that go into dangerous territories, places where the gospel is illegal to preach, and they go and they hand out Bibles and they preach the gospel in fear of being arrested, in fear of being imprisoned, and even in fear of their lives. But God is more powerful. God is that great protector. God protects us. God protects his people. God will overcome because he has overcome and will continue to overcome. Because we serve a God that has overcome sin. We serve a God that has overcome the grave. We serve a God who continues to overcome time and time again. Time and time again, he continues to overcome. He doesn't stop. He's not a force that can be stopped. But he is going to see that his kingdom comes, that his will is done. And justice is going to happen. Justice will happen. One way or the other. The church will continue. The church will thrive and will grow no matter what obstacle it faces. It will keep happening because our God overcomes. Our God overcomes. That's one thing, no matter what you take away from this, that our God is a God who overcomes. Our God is a God who overcomes. The one true God, the creator of all things, who has done so many amazing things that are testified in Scripture, continues to do so many amazing things that we see every day. Our God overcomes. God will overcome. No matter what we face, no matter what might get in our way, God will overcome. God will overcome. And of course, we're all facing quite a bit right now with what's going on, but you know what? God will overcome. No matter what we face, no matter what happens to come from anything that comes our way, that happens to get into our path, no matter what mountains we face, God will overcome. He continues to overcome just like he has in so many ways. Always remember that. Always remember, one way that our God is powerful is that he overcomes. He overcomes. And that's my sermon for you today. And I appreciate you. Say, Tony, a few comments here that I'm kind of putting off reading because I want to get to the sermon first, but I'll go ahead and read them now. See, Tracy says, I believe in angels because that's how God found me. Carriage House. Yeah, and that's, God uses angels in many ways. I mean, the actual term angel is, it means messenger. So angels are basically messengers. At least the angels spoken of in the Old Testament, they were messengers to like the prophets, to various people that God was using. And yeah, very much they still work today in very much in that capacity in helping us out. And that's something we always want to remember. God is still working. His angels are still working. Things are still going on. There's spiritual stuff still going on, especially spiritual warfare. Never forget that. Never forget that's a big thing too. Amen, Tracy. I've heard you tell your story, how you led the carriage house, and that's an amazing thing. It's like Tony is putting out Mark 16:15 through 18. Bring that up real quick. I'll read that. Back up. All right, so Mark 16, 15 through 18. Let's see what we have here. He said to them, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation. Whoever believes and is baptized will be saved. Whoever does not believe will be condemned. And these signs will accompany those who believe. In my name they will drive out demons. They will speak in new tongues. They will pick up snakes with their hands. And when they drink deadly poison, it will not hurt them at all. They will place their hands on sick people and they will get well." The amazing things that God is able to do through people. The amazing things that God is able to do through people. The way he can protect us, the way he can work through us. All kinds of amazing things that he can do and will do, for that matter. He's given each of us spiritual gifts. Things that we can use for his good, for furthering his kingdom. Things that will help, and that's something we always want to remember. Always keep in mind that he will help. He will overcome. He will be there for us. I do thank everyone for being here. I said, whether you commented or watched during the live streaming of this, or if you watch afterwards, because this will be up on YouTube after the fact, and it can be watched at any time. Whether you watch then or watch now, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you. And I will be giving the same sermon live tomorrow at the church. And again, we're following state recommendations, state guidelines as far as holding the service. So, social distancing. Anyone right now who is in that risk group, that we're asking you to stay home and just watch this on YouTube, at least for now, until the restrictions loosen. If you're sick, stay home. Obviously, no one wants to come to church sick. So yeah, if you're sick, if you're not feeling good, stay home, be safe, and that way we can keep everyone healthy, keep everyone safe, and it's a good time. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, all of you, for being here. And we'll close in a prayer. And also, always let me know whether you have prayer requests. And and I know we're praying for Kathy's nephew and his girlfriend, because they don't have corona, but they're still ill. They're still sick. So we're definitely praying for them. Hopefully they're feeling better. But yeah, definitely love all of you. Miss all of you. It would be great once we finally can all meet at the church. That'll be wonderful. It'll be amazing. It'll be wonderful. And it's going to be awesome. It'll be completely awesome. So anyway, thank you all for being here. And let's go ahead and close in prayer. And have a good and wonderful and blessed rest of your weekend. And we'll see whoever is able to be there tomorrow morning. But anyway, thank you so much. And let's go to God in prayer. Lord, we thank you so much for this day. We thank you for your word. We thank you for your blessing. And Lord, we just continue to be with all of us during this difficult time of trying to avoid illness, trying to avoid this virus and keep others safe. And Lord, just help us remember that you overcome. You overcome anything that we might face. And Lord, you take care of us. You protect us. You've got us in your hands. Help us to trust you, to trust in you, to praise you when times are dark. when things seem to be at their worst, to continue to praise you, to lift your name in praise, and put our trust in you, and know that you overcome whatever it is we face. Anything we face, Lord, it's not beyond you. You can take care of it. We thank you so much for that, Lord, for all you do and continue to do. In Jesus' name, amen. I've been here, just didn't say hello, howdy to all. Prayers for Sierra, please. I'm assuming, yes, Stephanie did tell me, everyone, and be praying for Sierra. They do have answers, and so, I mean, hopefully they can get some treatment for her for the answers they do have. I won't say it on here, because I don't know if you want it said on them, but definitely be praying for her. But it's good that they have answers now. At least knowing what the problem is better than not. People in South Texas, they have a big fire. Well, you know, hey, if you big bonfire. People in Texas like their bonfires. I know someone else in Texas who I watch on YouTube, and he does a big bonfire after New Year's with like a whole bunch of Christmas trees, like a massive Christmas tree bonfire. It's crazy. It's funny though, but it's crazy. It's real crazy. So, but yes, definitely be praying for her. And thank everyone for being here. Like I said, we will have service, so anyone who's able to be here tomorrow, I'll be there tomorrow. If you're not at risk and you're healthy, fantastic. We'd love to have you there. Love to see you, and can't wait to see all of you in person. But have a great rest of your evening, and we will see everyone next time.